Welcome to another episode of Design Dialogues, where we explore the intersection of design, technology, and user experience. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Roopal Gupta, who is a design lead at CSEWhy, with a deep expertise in UI UX, product strategy, and designing for next generation of learners. She's here to talk about the evolving role of design in the EdTech space, particularly in shaping platforms for Gen Z and UPSC aspirants. So, Gen Z, this podcast is a must watch for you. So, welcome, Rupal. It's great to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you, Jaspreet. Thank you, Tasdom, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's my favorite topic, like UX and EdTech. And I myself have been part of many competitive exams, starting from JE and BITS and, CAT, UPSC. So now that I get to design for this particular target audience, it feels great.
Absolutely. EdTech is a fascinating space, and we are going to discuss a lot. So, we'll start with the very first segment, Rupal, and we'll talk about the rise of EdTech and the design's role in this space. So, starting with the big picture view, EdTech has grown exponentially, as we all know, in the recent years. From school students to competitive exam aspirants, digital learning is now the norm. So, in your experience, how has UI UX shaped the evolution of EdTech platforms?
I think EdTech has seen a lot of change since the time I was preparing, and now students are preparing. Earlier, when I was growing up, EdTech was not even an industry. We used to see video lectures in CDs, or even digital boards came to be used after when I was in college, not even during school students. But now it has become a norm. So now that digital experience is part of the learning and education, so is UI UX importance have also increased. We often correlate edtech rise with the rise of Unacademy and Byju's pre-COVID, and during COVID when everything became online. So there was a massive rise, massive talk about how edtech is going to be the future of learning and everything, and then we saw a fall of some of those platforms as well. So edtech has been little shaky, but it is here to stay. Education and learning is through online, and now that Gen Z is actually the first generation who is born with smartphones in hand, and they are learning from with digitally since the school experience itself. So they will change edtech again. They will change the industry of edtech, and they want such apps and platforms to cater to that particular behavior, that learning behavior. So it is going to stay.
Indeed, I mean, the transition from traditional classrooms to online learning platforms was revolutionary. We have seen that during the COVID times. And now, since you talked about Gen Z, Rupal, um, this generation, like you said, has grown up with smartphones and short form content, especially. So, when we are designing such platforms like these EdTech platforms, what design principles should we keep in mind? And so that we are catering to the needs of Gen Zs.
um I think when you're designing for Gen Z, they love learning digitally. They are, since it is part of their nature, to Google, to have information at hand. So we have to cater to that particular behavior first. They love to have short form content. Whenever I have done some user research, and whenever I ask aspirants, how do you want to understand, let's say, a particular topic of earthquake, they say give me a short 5-minute video which explains everything. So they do not want to sit for long hours to study for a particular topic. So this is their behavior. We cannot change it, and we have to adapt to this particular behavior. So there are certain tips and tricks that we use in UX design to engage them, and make environment friendly to their preparation as well as to their behavior, so that their behavior is not altered, at the same time they achieve success in the learning. So some of the things that I personally have used in CSEWhy to tackle this particular challenge of jumping to courses, jumping across apps. So we have incorporated certain things to keep them engaged in the app. Some things that are flashcards to for spaced repetition. They can use a particular thing for multiple times. Short form content, reels, stories, and even see, these are short content, so obviously you cannot expect 5 minutes of video to give everything and even retain it in the long form memory. So we use these particular snippets of bite-sized videos or bite-sized learning content, but we keep them or give them a higher frequency of these, so that after 10 particular short reels that they've seen, the content is repeated. So that becomes a part of technique of step-spaced repetition, that one particular information you are reading or you are exposed to at different intervals, so that it comes to a long term memory. So
Yeah.
that is the technique that I use in most of the things that I created, like streaks, also flashcards, also short form content, and stories. The technique of spaced repetition. So um, they want short reels, I give them short reels, but I give them in a more frequent manner.
Hmm. Well, yes, makes sense, because it shouldn't feel more like a task for them. Rather, it should
Yes.
give them that experience that they are learning by just watching these quick 2-3 minute videos, which, like you said, will stay in their memory for a longer time. And I guess that's the best part, because if it is not intuitive, if it is not engaging, the learners, and of course, it should be easily accessible. And if it is not, learners will start dropping off. The
Yes, yes.
retention is also very important, the customer retention here. So,
And to add to it, to add to this question, we also used gamification and collaborative features or tools within the app or within the platform. Particular factor is also very important when you're designing for learning. How two or three different students or group studies can happen within a platform, or how gamification can happen, how competitions and leagues can happen. So that also becomes a very effective tool of learning, and also a fun thing to be in the education or learning part.
So to uh, draw a contrast between what designing for Gen Z looks like versus what designing for other audiences look like, because one size doesn't fit all. So we heard from you in terms of how to design for Gen Z, but let's say you had to do the same thing but for say a different audience altogether. What would some of those things look like?
The main difference between Gen Z and other audience, let's say millennials, is we are not so fixated on short form content, or millennials are not, but Gen Zs are. So engagement becomes a very challenging thing for Gen Z, even for Gen Alpha, who's going to be the next generation learners. We have to keep lot of tools for engagement, be it gamification, be it psychologically they want newer things, because they think uh, 5 minutes or 10 minutes learning on of same topic is really boring for them. So but not for other audience, not for millennials. They want to learn in depth, but Gen Z, they do not want to learn in depth. They want something new, something exciting, something which they've not seen before. So that is the particular thing that is more challenging. So engagement becomes a very important or crucial part here. How to keep them engaged, how to make them sit and learn, because we have read things and novels about key. If you want to be perfect in something, if you want to understand a particular topic, at least 20 to 30 minutes of deep work or deep understanding is required. And but Gen Z do not do not feel that way. So we have to balance that thing out.
I'll just throw things which are observations and maybe we can knit them together. So while
Yes.
it is true that our upbringing in whatever era we were born and however we experience things has an impact on what we expect. But it is also true that when you look at the world around you and things have changed, that also has a huge impact. So, as an example, if you look at senior citizens, right? Anybody above, I would say, 65 or 70 years of age, they didn't have internet. But nowadays, if you look at them, right, most of them are so engrossed in YouTube, you wouldn't believe, right?
Of course, of
So
course.
so you have the environment today of how everybody is experiencing certain things. Uh, and then you have the products of the environment, which is basically these Gen Zs and Gen A, depending on when they were born and what the environment was like and how they were brought up. So you have the environmental influence, and then you have the expectations based on when people were born and what they experienced. So I think there is also this, because even today's generation doesn't matter that I am Gen Z or not. But if today's generation, everybody is now watching web series, when at least in my time, we used to watch for we used to wait a week for the next episode. So you have that, but it doesn't necessarily matter whether I'm Gen Z or not. Some of these things do have an influence on what is expected today, and probably that gets blended in design. So my question is, this thing that today's environment is applicable to everybody, does that make it easier to build something for this sort of a vast audience of 18 years to 30 years?
That certainly makes it easier, because even we are falling into the trap of reels, and we also want short form content. Like even millennials or 30 years olds want that particular content, or they get in, get in that zone very quickly. They do not think about it, which makes it easier, of course, and commonality can be drawn between both type of generations. So yeah, products also are becoming more um, you know uh, common for both types of audience. More and more products want engagement as to be the top priority of their product. If they're not engaging, then you will be out of the market, and someone else's product will be the one that becomes more popular.
So if you are in the business of content, engagement is your number one metric.
The very next segment, which is majorly on UPSC preparation. And like we all know, UPSC is one of the toughest exams in India, and aspirants, they do spend years preparing for it. So, how can UI UX help in making this preparation process easy, more efficient, as well as engaging? So, what do you have to, say on that?
UPSC is actually one of the toughest examination. I myself has been an aspirant in the past, and I've seen this journey firsthand. It is no doubt the longest journey. People take years to crack it, but there is change that we are seeing in the way students are preparing now, as compared to the students who were preparing earlier, without the earlier there was not a lot of social media exposure. We when I started my preparation, I was very clear I do not want to use social media, and it worked for me, because not a lot of I did not grow up with social media, so it was kind of easier for me to be detached with it. But now, as your younger audience, a younger generation is coming up and doing this preparation, it is there is one challenge that we are facing: how to be, how to control yourself from the content that is not exactly helpful, uh, but it is part of the same ecosystem. It is in on YouTube. You have to be on some social media platforms for, day to day conversations. Day to day life is going on social media, as well as you want to learn, and you don't want to uh, lose track of time, because every minute has an opportunity cost in students life. So that becomes a little challenging part for aspirants in general, be it UPSC aspirant or any other exam aspirant. So that we are solving. We are trying to solve this. We take a lot of user interviews, and we have realized that one thing, that those who have become officers, they have what they have done, so that we can incorporate those particular do's and don'ts in the preparation itself. So what we have realized is they actually get detached with social media for at least for few months during the time that they are preparing. So that is one thing that we want to incorporate in our preparation tools also, what we are giving to the aspirant. We want user to not juggle with a lot of apps. We want user one app which is holistic, which gives everything that they need. Even if they want reels also to see in a particular time of day when they're eating or anything, so the reel should be about current affairs, about the thing that will actually help them in the exam, and not something which is very random. So we are making an ecosystem. We are making in CSEWhy, we are making that a student should have everything from learning material to Pomodoro type timer to flashcards for memorizing to short stories, daily current affairs, and everything, every type of learning thing within one app, so that they don't have to go to social media or other apps to and get distracted. They will obviously learn from those apps as well, but there are high risk of getting distracted and losing track of time. So that is one thing that we are doing, and we keep doing it. We keep asking our users, what do you want next, what do you, so the user research is very key uh, for designing for a particular audience. It is a very niche audience. We are not designing for every type of aspirant. So we keep taking notes and feedback from the users every couple of days to understand what they need next, how they are wasting time, so that we can curb that.
Yeah.
So I'm a little skeptical about this whole ed tech thing, okay? And you on this specific topic, the product manager inside of me wants to know that, look, and I've never been a UPSC aspirant, so I don't know these problems firsthand. So this is just a lot of my assumption. But before we start talking about designing something for this problem that we are trying to solve for UPSC aspirant, I wonder what is the life without using any sort of app whatsoever for these people, and how these apps actually make it more efficient for these aspirants, because there is a element of time involved here, right? And time is critical because there is an age limit, right? And you only get a certain number of attempts. So if you don't make it in your first attempt, then you have one less attempt, right? So first, I wonder, okay, what is the difference really? Preparation without using any apps versus preparation with apps. And once we understand that difference, then yeah, we can understand, okay, how to make the app better for a more efficient outcome for these folks.
Very interesting take on this particular thing, UPSC, because a lot of people go to a particular place called ORN in Delhi to prepare, and they cut off from every social media. Why they are going to ORN? Because they don't want online learning materials as much as they want the environment to be UPSC friendly. So they are going to those environments, and I'll tell you why those things are also working or has been part of the culture, because there are numerous shops which provide daily current affairs magazines and course materials. There are coaching institutes, there are test series centers, and all of that is there established in Delhi, particularly in North India, and even in South India. Bangalore is one such key area where UPSC aspirants come together to have that particular environment which can help them be successful in UPSC. So this is one type of audience who do not want digital learning, who want to go to brick and mortar institutions to learn, to give tests, take materials, jot it down, make notes, and all of that. Everything physically, and not nothing or part of it only for online. This is one audience, which is, I now think that it is a lot of people face financial issues, and parents have to fund their entire period of education in when they are preparing, and it is not for a few months. It may go for 4 years, 5 years. So a lot of financially it becomes financial toll on parents. That is one drawback. The other drawback is everything else is now coming online. So you have better alternatives. You have alternatives to give test also. You have better, all those institutions, all those teachers who are teaching in ORN, they have online videos also, online learning materials also. So you don't really have to become that particular person who has to be, completely detached from that online material. Apps and websites and in general the material are all available online. So I think that it is now it is better to stay at where you are, be in the comfort of your home, and prepare online for UPSC. That is where design also plays its part. How can we better create a effective learning environment within that online ecosystem? When he's sitting on his study table in the house, he wants to collaborate with students, so we have to make a community sort of forum. He wants to take a test, so we have to create a time bound test environment. We There is learning material already there online, so we have to create an atmosphere online only, where there is less distraction. And he can keep track of time. So the preparation journey becomes really different for the two types of audience. But I think it is more helpful emotionally also for the student, and financially also for the parents. And design can play definitely a huge role in this.
Yeah, right. And so, yes, adaptive learning paths, smart notes, and progress tracking, and of course, free mode is something that UI should be focusing on. Now we'll be moving on to the next segment, and that is the future of UI UX and EdTech. So, what trends should designers and EdTech companies focus on?
In general, in EdTech, not talking about UPSC, I think uh, there is a huge scope where design and UX can make improvements. And we are already seeing changes because of generative AI coming to age. It is part of the conversational AI has become a norm, you can say. Not a norm in general, but not in education. So we are trying to incorporate AI chatbots and conversational AI, so that a student can talk to AI and discuss what he's feeling, where he's lacking, how can he make improvements, even emotional support he needs. Then he can talk to that AI bot, and the AIs are becoming very smart in that particular part. Not just teaching about particular information, but they understand human emotions as well, and it's getting better and better. So that particular thing is going to happen, that I, as a student, can rely on AI for all types of my needs. I don't have to go to this institute or that institute to or to need for a physical mentor or parent to and keep me focused or keep me emotionally stable during my preparation phase. So AI is one thing that is going to change, obviously. The second thing is a lot of VR and AR integration is happening. Globally, it is happening a lot more. In India, we are seeing a bit of a uh, slow way, but it is going to become norm, because there are some complex topics. There are some complicated subjects that can be better explained through virtual experience or augmented reality. So that is going to become, I think, pehle jaise when I was a kid, there used to be computer labs and we used to go to computer. Now computer is everywhere. You have it on your hand. So I think VR and AR labs are going to be the next thing in school, that they will have a period and they will go to, so they will have a particular topic explained in those experiential learning part will become very common in schools and colleges. May It has already started in many colleges. It's already there. The third thing, I think, personalization, and I think extreme personalization will become a norm in education. I've already seen extreme level of personalization happening on Instagram. Whatever the thing I talk or see, it comes on my feed. It comes in YouTube. In general, whatever I'm browsing, I browse things that I am interested. So I think that is going to be there in education and learning as well. Whatever things that I want to learn or I am bad at, not so good at, so those things will like the system will understand my learning behavior, my learning pattern, and it can help me help me in my learning process. Also, the tests can become adaptive. GMAT has already become very adaptive in that sense. But the tests that we do in our schools and colleges, they are not that adaptive. They are particularly same for all level of all types of students. So I think that will also change. That will also change in future. The tests will become adaptive, and each that one thing that will also be very helpful through extreme personalization is teaching special kids who need special learning requirements, who has special learning requirements, who are differently abled also. So if that a same ecosystem can be created through the app or through the platform or through the system, where every kind of student can benefit, not just the regular student but a special kid as well. So I think extreme personalization is another thing that is going to change in education industry. um, and when we are talking about future of edtech, I think we have to start looking at how children under 10 years of age are learning. The Gen Alpha is learning. We have to understand their behaviors. That is still to decipher. Is still yet to decipher. We have done a lot of research in Gen Z and we are creating products for them. But the next generation is going to be bit more different. So more, I don't know how they will react. I have already seen my nephews and niece, how they are very quick in understanding smartphone and everything. So I'm curious how education will turn out for them.
Yes, that was great. It has been really an insightful conversation, and would like to have final thoughts or advice for designers.
For a designer, the most important thing is you have to understand your audience for whom you are designing. You have to do a lot of type of research and use a lot of methodologies to actually understand what user wants. You can take interview and he can say something, but you have to observe the behavior actually, because just the interview or just asking the user may not give the full picture. You have to immerse yourself in the shoes of your user to actually understand what he actually thinks he wants and what he actually wants. So I think participatory research methods and all of these methodologies that are not very not used so frequently, I think they should be used more and more, because only then you will be able to understand the user. And if you understand the user, you are a good designer and you design things that yields result in the life of a user.
Thank you. Thank you, Roopal. This was a great discussion. And I hope it inspires more designers to create meaningful edtech experiences. So thank you so much for tuning into Design Dialogues. Until next time, keep inspiring and designing with purpose. Thank you so much, Roopal.